Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today we're going to make these cute little bunnies. We're going to be using the IOD clay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a chunk of clay. And you can make the head size as big or as little as you'd like. I think I did mine like 1.25 inches wide-ish, 1.5 inches, somewhere in there. Just eyeball it. And we're just gonna roll it until we get a shape that we like. You might have cracking in the clay as it dries. This one had some cracking. Now what you could do is you could take a small piece of clay and just work it in there. And let that dry, and then it won't be opened up. So now that I've got my little head, I'm going to take one of these craft sticks, and you could use a dowel without the pointy thing. That would work. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there a good amount of way, and then I'm going to put it in there a good amount. Let's see, about that much, 3/4 inch. And then I'm going to pull it out. So this will probably take about 24 hours to start getting the skin on it. I made these last week and then just left them out here. So I'm not positive that the exact dry time, but as long as you got a decent skin on the outside, you can move forward. Next, a little bit of DIY's Dark and Decrepit. And I'm just going to stain the stick. You could paint this. You could do whatever your color theme is. I'm doing kind of more of a natural, but that doesn't mean you can't do like a pink or a white or cream, whatever. I'll set this aside to dry. If your hole is too small to fit the stick in, which this one shrunk up quite a bit, just take a pair of scissors and you can just kind of go along the inside and scrape a little bit of it out until your stick fits in there. Now we're going to take a little bit of hot glue. We're going to go ahead and stick that in there. I got a little sticking out. That's okay. We're going to cover that. So next what we want to do is put the little face on it. So we're going to start out with a little heart smack dab in the center. Like that. And then we're going to draw a little line down from that. And then we're going to do some whiskers. Like that. And then we're going to do, oops, I did a little to the side. So he's a little lopsided now. So that's why you want the stick on it, so that you can look at it. I had it tilted so it made it lopsided. But as in nature, we're just doing little ovals for eyes. And then for his ears, this is thicker twine. I don't know if the dollar store has something this thick these days. I know they used to have twine, the thinner stuff, but they seem to have stopped carrying it. So what you want to do is you want to figure out how big you want his ears, or her ears, by just doing that so you can see. Go ahead and cut it. And we're going to go to the top. And you're going to put one end in, come around and put your other end in. Just like that. And then we'll put another little dollop right in the center, kind of center it. And then we're going to create the ears going upward by just manipulating it in the glue. So I'm folding this up. I'll do the same thing on this side. Be careful while the glue's hot. I'm doing this. There. Get the shape of the ear. There we go. Then I'm going to put a dollop of glue right where this comes up on both sides, just to hold it in the upward position. And you don't need much. Next, I just have a little bit of moss, and I'm just gonna cut it. Now, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and so we have moss everywhere. Does that mean I go out and grab it and dry it? No, I really should, but I don't. Because we literally have it everywhere. But you can buy this. Sometimes the dollar store has it. Sometimes I know Michael's has it. We're just making a little collar of moss, and it does get everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and go down a little bit further because it does have a tendency to kind of want to shed. The glue will help to hold it in place. Be careful. Got a little bit of glue on my finger, and it hurt. So next, before I move on, I want to go ahead. I've got these little pots, and I want to go ahead and paint this up. The thing about painting terracotta is, especially if you're using a chalk paint, but also, or a mineral-based paint, but any kind of paint, it's best to soak and spray. Look at how, let me soak it there. Look at how it just absorbs it. That's what it's going to do with your paint. And even if you want to do an all-over coverage of paint on the pot, go ahead and spray it. It'll make your life easier. It'll move. I even spray the insides of the pots. It just, you can see it's drying. Well, it's not drying. It's soaking up. It's soaking up, so it's looking dry. So that's what it does with your paint. So it gives you kind of a hard time when you're trying to put the paint on to the pot. Now, I did this one, and I used a chip brush for that. So this one I want to do a little different, and I'm going to use a foam brush. I think I want to spray my foam brush up a little bit. I did it off camera because I didn't want it. I sprayed my paper as it is. And I'm just going to, it gives you different looks. So depending on what you want. And you can spray as you go. Oop. Knocking stuff over. All right. That looks pretty good. So I have these cute little flowers. I wanted something that I would have a ribbon to at least coordinate with. So I'm going to use this one here. I'm just going to clip it with my wire cutters. So we're just going to take a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to put this up in the ear area, just like that. And because that one doesn't have, you could also like use, you know, the leaves in there, have a leaf coming out. Let's clip it and see what we like. Oh yeah, let's have the green come out like part of the ears. This is the fun part. This is where you get to experiment and play and make it your own. And depending on what you have, or you can find that you think it's fun to add to this, Yeah, just make it your own. And sometimes the dollar store has some fun stuff. Sometimes you have to look online or go to Michael's. But isn't that sweet? Oh, every now and then I do a project and I just love the way it turns out. I just like, oh, this is so sweet. And this is one of those projects. I just think this is a fun one. Okay, we're going to take a piece of ribbon. And this is the seam binding ribbon. We're just going to tie this into a bow in the front. And that will also help keep the moss kind of secure. So then you want your ribbons to kind of go behind the bow. So just twist it behind. And there you go for that. Now the second part, this is something you can do or not do. You can leave him like this and just call it good, or you can use one of these little pots. And anytime I get some foam, I save a little bit of it. Not every time because I get a ton of it. Instead of recycling it, I keep some of it so that I can use them for craft projects. So basically what we want to do is we want to take a pencil and just kind of go around the outside of this so you can see it. And then we're going to want to make that smaller. And also because this tapers pretty quick. And we're just going to take a kitchen knife and it makes a mess. And I'm angling it in. And this doesn't have to be perfect because you're never going to see it. But you can see the mess it's making. Okay. This is probably way too, yeah, so we're going to cut it to make it shorter. And then we're going to shove it in there. We're going to want to sink it in a little bit further in than the edge. Okay, kind of got it cleaned up. And next I'm going to take some more of the moss. And we're going to see how much we're going to need here. And since there's a curve on this side, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use that. And I'd make this just a smidge bigger than the top because you can tuck it in. Now, when you put hot glue on styrofoam, I'll do a little sample, it melts it and it starts putting a dent in there. For this one, it's not too bad, but you can see it's just continually melting. So you can use like E6000 for this, or you could use hot glue and just get it on there and know that that's what it does. It should still stick, but I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple dollops. Of course, I put that right where I'm going to put the stick, which is pretty funny. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that in there and just kind of tuck it in. Tuck all your little pieces in. So next, what I want to do is I want to just stick this little guy in there. And I'm going to use some E6000 on this just to kind of hold it in place. And we're going to tuck that in there. Pretty sweet, huh? Okay, so I can't leave things alone. If you have, like I tell you to do, anytime you use resin, or if you do them with clay, that's fine too. A little piece, you could add it right there, and that would make it super sweet. You could add another bow. You could add some more flowers. You could get all kinds of carried away. Oh, I like that though. That's actually very sweet, isn't it? I'll just put it here in the front. So those are my cute little bunnies. You can leave it like this and just have it as a pick, or you can put it into the little pot, whatever you feel like doing. But that's it for this week. I thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions about any of the products I used, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye.